Good morning, everybody. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now, when I started out on this journey and I started doing these videos, I did make a promise that I was going to be 100% completely honest on pretty much everything in my life. And I was going to document my journey to building this online business that would step into building the nonprofit foundation to where I would be able to help homeless veterans, disadvantaged children, and disabled children. Now, the homeless veterans is kind of an obvious thing for most people if you think about it, because nobody else really wants to deal with them because they've got a lot of problems to deal with. And, you know, a couple of bad experiences may have made them shy away from it. There are still people, small groups individually, trying to help one or two here or there at a time, but nobody's really giving them what they need. And what they need is hope. And hope's a hard thing to give somebody. And you really can't give it to them, you have to show it to them. The disadvantaged children stems from the fact that I grew up with a single mother. I had three brothers that were, by the time I was 8 years old, they were all gone in the military, but they were never really around anyways because they were living with their father. Yes, we have different fathers. Three of them have one, and, well, if you go to my website, johnrisley.com, you'll learn how I came to be in existence. But that's not why I'm doing this morning. The disabled children comes from my business partner, Chris Lounsbury, because he has his own personal reasons, and if he chooses to discuss them publicly and disclose them, I will let him do that, but he has his reasons. He really wants to provide someplace for disabled kids to go to have fun and be kids, be normal, be treated normal. And I agree with that. And my plan started out pretty simple. I wanted to build a cattle ranch and build kind of bunkhouse style apartments for the homeless vets, so they each have their own little room and their own little bathroom. Wouldn't be fancy, wouldn't be great, but it would be theirs to have a locked door, etc. It also allows for me to help men and women, homeless vets, because, face it, we've got both. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. Somehow, some way, I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to make this happen. If it be in the design of the universe. You can call it God, you can call it whatever you want. But the one thing that I have learned in life is that we get back exactly what we ask for. What that means is, if we are being extremely negative and down and just can't be positive about anything, and I'm not talking outwardly, I'm talking to ourselves in our subconscious, in our actions, in how we treat people. I mean, I know some people who are just bubbly lives of joy on the outside, but inside there's a dark hurricane going on because they're fighting who they are, who they've been, and who they want to be. And they don't even realize the battle's going on. They're just living by the mantra of fake it till you make it. And some people have just gotten really damn good at faking it. And I think that's why I'm here doing this video this morning, because let me give you a little backstory. Many of you who have been tagged in this or are seeing this may know that 9 years ago I was declared physically disabled, which meant I can't do my chosen lines of work anymore, be it computer engineer, network engineer, or truck driver. And I loved all of those jobs, all of those careers. And I had another one in there, but that I won't talk about because, well, that's just me. Call it leaving some mystery behind or whatever you want, but yeah. Well, fast forward 6 years, I started driving Lyft and Uber. 6 years? 7 years. 7 years. No, it was 6 years. Yeah, I know, I'm confused a little bit, but anyhow, I started driving Lyft and Uber, was making decent money, not great, but decent. I was bringing in between $3,000 and $4,000 a month after expenses and taxes and things like that. So my wife and I foolishly, granted, decided to pay off some bills, and then we decided to help out some family and friends, and well, next thing we know, we bought a house, and yes, we can afford it, but then I got deathly ill, and then the doctors here in Illinois told me that I was dying and I had anywhere from 6 months to maybe, at best, 6 years. Well, a dear friend of mine, a man who I respect for his integrity, his honesty, and his compassion more than any human being I know right now, Kirk Fowler, and I know I wasn't going to mention full names, but I'm going to give him these props. He started a GoFundMe, and amongst poker players in the Chicagoland area, he raised almost $4,000 out of a $5,000 goal to send me to the Mayo Clinic because I really, at that point, had no money to go. My insurance covered the visits, but it didn't cover the travel, the hotel, the food, all the other things that go with it, and that isn't included in going to Mayo. So I called first part of August, and it was August 5th or August 6th, and had to go through the vetting process, the application process. They called me back on somewhere around the 8th, completed the process, approved me for intake, told me it wouldn't be till the end of October that they could get me in. Well, that was on a Friday. Monday morning, 8 a.m., I'm receiving a phone call from them going, "Can you be here the end of August?" And it was like 2 weeks. I said, well, yeah, we scrambled, and it was, my appointments were to start the Thursday before Labor Day weekend. And we had a camping trip planned for that weekend. So my wife and I went. She took time off of work. We drove up Wednesday. Kirk arranged for the hotel. We stayed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Did preliminary intake tests and things like that. They were really busy days. And then Friday I saw the primary doctor again, and he said, could I come back Tuesday? Because they were closed for normal operations on Labor Day. I said, well, yeah. So we went camping, had a great time, and on that Tuesday, they kept me for another almost 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, running every test humanly imaginable on me. And at the end of that time, they come back and say, your doctors in Illinois were wrong. You're not dying. They had you completely misdiagnosed. They've been treating you for things you didn't have. You have the symptoms, yes, but you don't actually have the diseases. Well, I'd always had that dream and that goal in the back of my mind of the ranch and helping homeless vets for several years. And I talked to an attorney friend of mine who's also a poker player, because he was involved in managing the money for me going to make sure everything was legit and legal and handled properly. And Ed, when I gave him the update, he was like, cool, we can sue them. And I'm like, wow, okay. And my mind started thinking that this actually may happen. This may become a reality. Well, Ed isn't that kind of an attorney. So I gathered up, when I got back to Illinois, I gathered up all my medical records from all my different doctors, gave them to Ed, and he gave them to the person in his office who handles malpractice, and she made me a phone call a couple weeks later and basically told me, oh, sorry, can't help you, because Illinois' got this screwed up law that you can only sue for malpractice 2 years after date of diagnosis. And it had been almost 8. That's a pretty messed up law, because nobody really gets misdiagnosed and finds out about it until usually several years later, not 2. But that's the law, can't fight it. Another attorney friend of ours, Dave, and I'll discuss him later, he said, hell no, let's see what we can do. He took all the records. I went and met with one of his attorneys, and she dug into that for almost a month, did a lot more research, spent a lot more time on it, only to come back and say, can't do anything. Our hands are tied. And Dave was, ironically, Dave, for an attorney, was very upset and mad that I got screwed. They almost killed me, and they get away with it, and there's nothing I can do, nothing we can do to fix this, to make sure that they can't do it to someone else. So I buckled down and slipped a little bit back into a depressive state. And then something went off. I don't remember what triggered it or how. Yeah, I do. You see, in August of last year, because I had been working and we bought the house, well, we kind of got the house even though we were really overextended on our credit debt and the medical bills. And then in May and June, we got hit by the IRS because one of my wife's former bosses filed paperwork saying she worked freelance work for him when she really didn't. Even though she was an employee of his, he still got away with filing a 1099 on her, and let's just say we got hit and piled on with a lot of taxes and penalties, and yeah, it was overwhelming. Doing Lyft and Uber, I had bought a new car, larger, fancier, made more money with it, enjoyed it more, but couldn't afford it anymore. Wasn't working. So I had to give it back. Had to give up my Harley, both financially and medically, because, well, as of this past October, I was not allowed to ride two wheels anymore. I had to promise to stay on three wheels, otherwise he'd take my license away. I also had to promise not to drive more than 2 hours, 2.5 hours at a time, never drive alone, if at all humanly possible, never more than 2.5 hours alone. And I was like, okay, that leaves me enough timeline that I could still get to where I can play poker. And I was okay with that. This last visit in April, he even took that away in the fact that I'm not allowed to ride motorcycles at all. Not because I can't, it's because my head starts to play tricks on me, because apparently what's wrong with me and what was causing all the other symptoms is literally all in my head. Over the years, I've knowingly, unknowingly, willingly, unwillingly had somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 concussions in my lifetime, and no one to blame for it but me. I did it. We just didn't understand concussions back then, and I never thought much of it. I just thought, hey, I got my bell rung. It's the way it was. That was life. It happens. You pick up, you move on, you keep going. He's like, yeah, no, you're done. He goes, the only thing's wrong with you is you've got coronary artery disease, fibromyalgia through most of your body, arthritis through most of your joints, and you're going to have to live with headaches that range from mild to severe on pretty much a daily basis. It is what it is. And to make it even worse, there's nothing they can give me for pain because I'm genetically immune to it, which has them a little baffled. Well, we were doing okay with the bankruptcy. Started out at $1,000 a month that I had to pay the court because they could only do a Chapter 13 because my wife makes too much money, according to their matrix. And that's okay. My student loans, my IRS debt, which are the two huge, biggest parts of it, all the credit cards, they rolled my wife's car in there so that it would lower the interest rate, and it did considerably. And we were good. I could still make the house payments, I could still make the bankruptcy payments and pay all the other bills and still have a little money to live on. Well, that ended in December when the judge arbitrarily decided, nope, we're going to raise your monthly payment to $1,600 a month. Actually, it was like $1,680. But the attorney got it down to $1,570 something, I think $1,540. I have it set up so it comes out in payments every 2 weeks automatically of $676, which we can still squeak by and do and survive. But it doesn't leave anything for emergencies or anything for savings or anything for anything at all. In other words, anything happen and I have to start robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I can't rob the court payment because that's automatic. And if I don't leave it automatic, I'm in default of the bankruptcy. And I'm right back where I started with 100 phone calls a day from different creditors trying to collect their money. Well, October, I fell behind because I was at Mayo Clinic and just plain forgot. So I was late making that payment, but I did make it. End of November, about the same time I was supposed to make the house payment, my wife got rear-ended. Well, that was a $1,000 deductible to get her car fixed because it had to be fixed for her to drive it, and she has to go to work. And she still has damage from a guy that hit her head on. She was going south on the road. The guy was turning left off a side road and didn't see her, and she connected. It just did cosmetic damage, so we didn't really get it fixed, and the insurance didn't give us enough money to fix it, so we thought we'd save it and try to save up the rest to fix her car, but that didn't happen. Excuse me, I'm nasty habit, know I need to quit, but 23 minutes of soul bearing is kind of hard. So, it is what it is, and that's what happened. Well, then Christmas was coming up, and I had already talked to the mortgage company, and they were like, hey, we understand things happen, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We'll work with you. I'm like, okay, cool. And they go, you're in bankruptcy, so we can't call you and harass you. We can't threaten you or anything like that. Just make your payments, and as long as you're caught up before your bankruptcy is done, which is 5 years, it's all good. Oh, cool. Okay. Sorry about that. My camera decided it wanted to stop recording at 30 minutes. So I get off the phone. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Now February comes along. I was supposed to go to Mayo, had to cancel because I didn't really have the money to go. And really wasn't looking forward to going up there in one of the coldest winters in a long-ass time. But I go down, I play poker. Kirk wanted me to come down. Had a good time. Now, mind you, I'm really not allowed to play poker in terms with the bankruptcy, because anything I win, I'm required under the terms of the bankruptcy to turn over to the court. No exception. So that means I can't play any major tournaments, I can't do anything, and I can only play at Windy City as long as I am playing for Kirk or playing for someone else. I cannot play for my own money. It's just the way it is. So I don't get to go much. Plus the fact that I can't drive there and I can only go when my wife's off or when someone is willing to drive up and come and get me. And since most people that play at Windy City are from south side of Chicago, not very many are willing to drive 60 to 70 miles to pick my happy little butt up on a Saturday morning to go down and play poker, even though my wife will drive after work, come down after work and pick me up. And I understand that. So I don't begrudge anybody, and I don't like being an imposition on people. Now, my friend Angelo, he's a buddy. He's going through hard times, but he's got a plan and it's working out for him. And I'm trying to help him with what I can and do what I can for him. He comes up once in a while. He visits. We started holding poker sessions once a week, but right now we're on a hiatus because he's out of town, where we discuss hands, we discuss play styles, we discuss basically how to play poker better. But back to what I was talking about. So I get through February, I pay my brother back the money I had to borrow the end of January, because he doesn't exactly have it to spare because he's disabled, his wife's disabled, and they're both living on their retirement pensions from the military and their disability payments. And both their kids still live at home, and one of them has a kid. So my brother is still basically supporting his entire family. We get through March. Wasn't a great month for me, but my brother decided, okay, I decided I am done. I'm a workaholic by nature. I cannot sit around the house anymore. I'm tired. I miss driving. I miss doing what I need to do. So I was asking him and a couple other friends for help to get a vehicle so that I could at least do DoorDash or Uber Eats or something just to get some money coming in, because I was tired of basically going paycheck to paycheck when we shouldn't be, but I have no choice because of bankruptcy and house payments. And I'm falling behind. Now, mind you, I'm still talking to the mortgage company, and they're still telling me, don't worry about it, we'll work with you, we'll help you. But we don't do forbearance, and we don't do modifications really well. And basically what that meant was, well, you don't qualify. I tried, but we don't qualify. So, mind you, in all of this, I find out that my furnace, which is the original furnace put in the house 20-some years ago, is worn out. And it's actually costing me twice as much to use as what it should, but the heat exchanger is cracked on all 5 of the baffles, and I'm at risk of CO2 leaks. But I can't get it replaced, because to replace the AC in the furnace, I've been quoted ranges from 9,000 to 25,000 for a modern version of the equivalent of what I've got in there. The best quote I got was 14.5 or 14.9 for a two-stage that had a filtration system built in it that would eliminate 98% of all odor, pollutants, germs, everything. And since I have no immune system anymore, that was considered medically the best option for me to go for. But I don't have it, so I've had to just kind of put it on the back burner, no pun intended, and just hope and pray that I don't get a CO2 leak. April, I take off, I go to Mayo. That trip cost me about $1,200. Then I get a phone call a week ago from my bankruptcy attorney, and she informs me that the mortgage company has a motion filed, and they go to court on the 3rd of May. Now, mind you, the mortgage company has not sent me anything or told me anything about this at this point, that they are going to petition the court so they can foreclose on the house. Well, yesterday the attorney calls me up in the morning and says they don't agree to give you 90 days or even 120 or anything. In fact, they have already got the paperwork together to file as soon as they get the motion granted, which they will be granted the motion, which means your normal 60 to 90 days to vacate will most likely be cut down to maybe 45, because their petition for the bankruptcy court, or for the foreclosure, is a 15-day eviction notice. And she says more than likely, from what she's seen, it's going to be granted as is, because you're essentially 5 months behind, and as of May 1st, you will be 5 months behind, and you need to pay that out, plus ideally be able to pay a couple of payments ahead to keep your house and to stop all of this. But in order to stop the motion from going to court on May 3rd, you have to pay it by May 1st. So basically, by Tuesday, it is now Saturday, so 3 days, I have to somehow or another come up with $15,000, or know that I'm going to lose my house. And if I lose my house, I'm going to lose some of my pets. Especially, I'm going to lose my dog, which I just got. And that is not something I want to happen. Now, the reason I will lose them is because before we bought this house, we looked at renting another place, and I kept getting told the same thing. Either no pets, too many pets, and no specific breeds of dogs. Well, my dog is a pit bull mix, and as soon as they hear that, yeah, no, that's on the list of not allowed. And before we had Rottweilers, same thing. They don't allow Rottweilers because they're mean, bad, evil dogs. And, well, they don't understand that the dogs are innocent. It's how they're raised and how they're trained. So, I'm kind of screwed. I spent most of yesterday humiliating myself, asking my brother for help. He can't help. He's not in a position to help me. My best friend in the world right now, Jeff, he can't help. He doesn't have it. I asked other people close to me, and they're not in a position to help. And what was surprising is that at the end of the day, about midnight last night, I realized while I was upset, while I was stressed, while I was angry, I had not fallen into a deep state of depression and despair. It's like I knew something was going to work out. I got up this morning. Nothing's worked out yet, but I woke up still positive. So my change of mindset over the last few months has worked. I no longer go to the negative. I no longer go to being angry and throwing fits and temper tantrums and screaming and yelling. I still feel humiliated. I still feel embarrassed by having to ask these people for help. But I'll get over it. There were a few people that I know probably could afford it, but I don't know them well enough. Not going to ask them. I'm putting this video out here because I did say I was going to be completely honest, and this is as honest as I can get with everybody. The world now knows what I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, why I'm getting all the gray hairs I'm getting. During all of this, I've been trying to help my daughter out. She lives in Alaska. She's got 2 little girls of her own. She doesn't have a lot of money. She's struggling. So I've been sending her basically my allowance so she can basically keep the heat on and take care of her kids. Today's my oldest granddaughter's birthday. Couldn't send her a present. Couldn't send her a card. But I will make up for it somehow. I somehow still believe, deep down in the recesses of my mind and my heart and my soul, that things will work out as they're supposed to. And I think what I'm trying to get everybody to understand is you cannot give up hope. When you have a specific goal and idea of what you want to do, as long as you keep working toward that goal and that idea, and you sincerely, truly change your mindset to be completely 100% positive and devoted to helping others, there is nothing that can stop you. No matter how bad it may look, the universe will take care of you. The universe will give you exactly what you deserve. And what basically makes me say that, even though I'm in the middle of one of the darkest spots of my life, is simple. At some point, I did something that warranted all of this. There is something I'm supposed to learn from this. You know, you can call it karma, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, whatever it is, we get back exactly what we give out. I'm hoping this is the last of the bad, but I'm going to keep going. I am not giving up. I will achieve my goals. I will do these things. And with your help, with God's help, with the universe's help, we will achieve the goal of helping homeless vets, giving them a place to go, getting them off the streets, and giving them hope and a life again. And if all I do is save one of them and can get them to go out and repay it, pay it forward, it will almost be worth it. If I can get 3 and each one of them get 3, then it will definitely be worth it. And I know I can reach more than 3. I know that I can reach a lot of them. So, there are a handful of people that I want to mention specifically. I admire them more than anything in the world. Kirk Falla, I've mentioned. He gives his time to raising money for charity. He's a great guy. He'll pretty much give you the shirt off his back if he has to. Angelo Fuscone is pretty much the same way. Even though he's down and out, he stays positive. He keeps working towards what it is he wants to do. He'll get there. Chris Lounsbury, he's become my business partner in this venture of building all of this because he believes in it and because he sees the value it has. David Evans, I love David Evans. I consider him my brother from another mother. He is a unique guy. He's always positive. He's always happy, no matter what's going on. James Battaglia. He's a good guy. He's really tries to help people. He really tries to help people grow and become better than what they are. Michael Sabia, Sabs as we call him, I admire him because he retired early. He was successful at what he did, and he was able to retire early. And I'm happy for him. And now he's finding really pretty good success on the poker table, but there's just something about him that I admire. He lives his life on his terms, and I think that's what I admire the most. So, to all of you, God bless you. I love you. To the rest of you, God bless you. I love you.
After my friend had his little illustrated chart with his son, as he told me later, the boy looked at the illustration a long time
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what tomorrow brings. Hell, I don't know what the rest of today brings. But it is what it is, and it'll be what it will be. I cannot force it. I cannot change it. I just need to make it right somehow. I know that my wife asked her boss for help, and she almost lost her job for it. And that's the hard part. She can't suffer because of this. But I'll make it work. Hope to see you soon. All the guys at Windy City, ladies and gentlemen, I miss you. I hope to be back on the felt soon. But right now I have to kind of lay low and take care of business. So, peace. Love y'all. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.